I knew Desmond Carter, but wasn't really in his circle of friends. And I didn't know him as Desmond. I knew him as Jamal, his Muslim name. He was a large guy, not really tall, but powerfully built. Prior to coming to the road, Jamal did a few years of prison time in New York. His counselor there testified at his North Carolina trial, saying he had a good conduct record and was always appropriate in their interactions. Living in Eden, North Carolina, Jamal killed his elderly neighbor. He admitted to the crime. Various psychologists agreed that Jamal had borderline personality disorder and would not have been able to appreciate the consequences of his actions. Further, that a lower than average IQ thrown into the mix would have kept him from being able to plan such a crime. Finally, having consumed alcohol, Xanax, and cocaine, he was criminally responsible but not in control of his faculties to the degree that he should have received the death penalty. I had some business dealings with Jamal. In all of our dealings, he was correct and honest. It would have been easy for him to go against the grain and not hold up his end of the bargain, but hold to his word he did. Sometimes all we have is our word, and here that means something. On the 10th of December, 2002, Jamal was the 19th man executed. Sadly, he wouldn't be the last. And whatever afterlife he has, hope he is judged fairly, with that judgment tempered with mercy. William Q. Jones was the first guy I gave actual thought to when I walked in North Carolina's Death Row, Unit 2, F Block, in April of 1992. Having been in prison before, I knew that certain custody-level prisoners wore certain clothes. For medium custody and above, you wear brown clothes. Or they're called brown clothes, just browns. They're more khaki or tan in color. Minimum custody prisoners wear green clothes, i.e. greens. Safekeepers wear yellow jumpsuits, and death row wore red jumpsuits. As I said, William Q. Jones was the first guy that I noticed. He was a black guy, nothing special about his looks. It was his clothes. He had on honor-grade green shorts and a green shirt jacket. My immediate thought was, why is a minimum custody honor-grade dude hanging out on death row? Then I looked around. Plenty of guys were wearing green shorts. I realized that the row, while having red jumpsuits, also had a few green clothes. William Q. Jones went by two other names. T-Bone was how he introduced himself to me. He also went by his Muslim name, which is Hassan. T-Bone didn't have a lot of money from outside the prison, but he was a hustler. He had the canteen on F Block. Canteens made an average of 40% profit from every dollar invested. That was a good hustle. Having had several times ran a canteen, and it would be a lucrative and aggravating at the same time. Dealing with people can be that way. Back in the day, it wasn't a crime to smoke cigarettes. Camel cigarettes could have benefits. Their mascot, Joe Camel, was a logo on free merchandise. Marlboro also had redeemable proof of purchase items. My mom rounded up Camel and Marlboro packs, got all kinds of free goodies. Among them was a solid sterling silver medallion with Joe Camel engraved on it. It was 1 ounce in weight, quite heavy for jewelry purposes. That's what happened to it. I sold it to T-Bone. He sent it out, had a bit of work done, and it was then a nice piece of jewelry on a silver chain. Quite inventive to T-Bone. He had a guy here he was close to. T-Bone was executed before Thomas Adams, his friend, was released from prison. I kind of think T-Bone was wishing him well, wherever he may be. August 22nd, 2003 was the date T-Bone was murdered by the state of North Carolina. Henry Lee Hunt was quite a character. He was known to us as Mulehead, and yes, he had a head that was above the normal size. He was here before me. One of the few Native Americans on the road, he came from Robeson County. Of the home of North Carolina's Lumbee tribe, Mulehead claimed Tuscarora ancestry. Mule had a co-defendant, Babe Erwell Barnes, also a Native American. To hear Mule tell it, Babe ratted him out. When I came to the road, Babe was waiting for a new sentencing hearing, housing general population here at Central Prison. I didn't know particulars of their crime, but I had no reason to disbelieve Mule. However, when I was also granted a new sentencing hearing by North Carolina Supreme Court, I met Babe. In the strictest sense, I guess Babe did tell on Mulehead, not by telling the police, but by telling his sister, who told the police. When co-defendants fall for the same charge, often they point their fingers at each other. Mule told me Babe could cut him loose. Babe told me the same thing about Mule. I agree that one should have taken the blame and helped the other, but who it should have been isn't my call. Mule liked to gamble. He loaned money, did this and that, but he liked to play poker. He had a style all his own. He was known to bet heavy until the last card, playing 7-card stud. Then he might pass the bet. It worked for him at times not. Death row can be a dangerous place to live and survive. Sometimes it was best to have a weapon and let others know you had it. Often as not, the threat of possession will keep other, more violent guys in check. Mule was one such example. I don't know that he ever attacked anyone with it, but he was known to have a knife. If he suspected someone was a cheater at the poker table, his knife was in his pocket. But back then, in the early 90s, many guys had access to something to defend themselves with. Rarely used, those weapons kept some of the more predatory inmates in check. From reading some of the case file on Mule and Babe, it was glaringly obvious that Babe indeed played a minor role in the murders. However, it must be said that had other parties not hired the two of them for this fatal job, neither would have been in the position to worry about who did what. Mule, while a Native American, was a practicing Christian as well. I worshiped with him on any number of occasions. I gather the duality of belief is not uncommon in Robeson County. On September 12, 2003, Henry Lee Hunt, a.k.a. Mulehead, paid the penalty for his crimes. Babe L.L. Barnes passed away in regular population. May they and their victims rest in peace.